people all, and you just gave your heart and your soul, and we won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions. We won everything you can win. And now we have a successful country. Doesn't it feel different? So many people say, go away, and all over the world they say it feels different. The whole world feels different. So it's an honor. It's a great honor, believe me, and we should all be happy about it because we're bringing it back like nobody would have thought possible. The event has, and I just tell you, it was really the brainchild of a few of the people that happened to be in the audience. I won't bother to embarrass them by introducing them. They don't need that, but they just had this idea, and I loved it immediately upon hearing it. But this is the largest crowd so far that we can imagine to be on this lawn in many, many years. There's a big crowd. There's a lot of people, and this is all a group of people that love what we're doing. They love MAGA, Make America Great Again, and that's what we're doing. So I want to thank you all, and very particularly have some good food there. I know a certain place serves our food, and I think you're liking it. I like it, but I think you're liking it a lot. I want to express my gratitude to just about all of my members in the cabinet who are here. They are here in great numbers. I didn't know what they were saying. They said, I'll see you tonight. I'll see you tonight. And I've been so busy between Iran, Russia, China, and every other problem that we were left that I'm saying, what the hell is happening tonight? And then I said, I'm seeing a lot of thousands of my friends tonight. But I want to thank the members of the cabinet in particular. They've been unbelievable. We have a great cabinet. You see the results every single day. Let me also give a big round of applause and welcome to our new White House interns. This is the very first day on their job. Really great. Julian Nicholas, where's Julian? Where are you, Julian? Are you out there someplace? I think so. Where is Julian? Where? Oh, look at him. Oh, is that? Wow. Good. You ever hear of the great Jack Nicklaus? This is his grandson, right? I immediately said, get him on board because he's got great genes. You can't get better than that. And, you know, especially so your grandmother, okay? Barbara, who's fantastic. So good luck. You're going to do very well. Thank you, Julian. Very good. Say hello. I wish I could play golf like Jack Nicklaus. It just didn't work out that way. But 6 months ago, we had a nation that was as cold as ice. It was cold. The whole world was laughing at us. And they're not laughing anymore, that I can tell you now. Because of the people here tonight, we have the hottest, most talked about country anywhere in the world. I went to the Middle East. We went to Qatar, Saudi Arabia. We went to UAE. We went to 3 stops. We brought back $5.1 trillion. Think of that. 5.1. They ordered massive amounts of military equipment, regular equipment, 200 Boeing aircraft, and we got one for free for the nation. You've been hearing that. The United States Air Force got one for free. I say I'd like one because we need it as Air Force One until the other ones are done. And they said, we would be pleased to give you. So they gave us a Boeing 747 for the United States Air Force. And it's just incredible. The press picked it up and they said, he got a plane. I didn't get a plane. They got a plane. But that's the way it is. You're going to get to know as you deal with the fake news. And then eventually you'll get to love them. Maybe. I doubt it. Actually, I doubt it. But I want to just tell you some of the numbers that just came out. Rasmussen, a majority of Americans now believe our country is on the right track for the first time in 28 years. Think of that. First time in 28 years. That's something. And think of the achievement. And we did that in 4 months. You know, we haven't been here long, 4 months. And we're going to do a lot better than that. But who would think that for 28 years they thought we were on the wrong track? Because I know one thing, that 4 years ago, during our term, we were on the right track. We were doing a great job. And we had one of the most successful, that was one of the most successful terms ever. Then we had a little problem where they rigged an election, and then we came back. And this is bigger, better, stronger than ever before. This one is far bigger than it would have been. This is really something what's happened. We've created over 500,000 new jobs in a short period of time, secured nearly $15 trillion new dollars, new investments that are going into our country. And if you notice, the inflation report came out this morning. We're at about 2% inflation. Can you believe it? And very importantly, because the people were devastated, the last administration, in my opinion, the most unsuccessful administration maybe in the history of our country. Grocery prices went through the roof. Well, grocery prices now are down. You remember they were talking about eggs. My first week in office, the press was screaming about eggs. Eggs have gone up 287%. I said, I'm sorry, I just got here. And the eggs went up. Now the eggs are down at the same price they were. We got them all the way down. And we had, 3 weeks ago for Easter, we had an egg hunt, an egg roll, they called it. And they said, sir, could you order, a couple of months ago, could you order plastic eggs? I said, we're not ordering plastic eggs. And by the time we had the event, eggs were all the way down. But think of it, grocery prices are down, gasoline prices are down, and they were down just in time. $1, we had numerous states, $1.98 a gallon, just in time for Memorial Day weekend. How about that? Good timing. You know, this all inures to you because you're all with us. This is a family. This is really a family. So when I do good, you do good. When we do good, we do good together. That's the way I want it. Incomes are soaring, and in April, we achieved the largest drop in consumer prices, the largest increase in consumer confidence, both of them in many, many years. In one case, we've never had such a drop. It's never been like this. We've never had this kind of success. I just hope it keeps going. You know, you do need a little luck, too. You know that. And sometimes you need a little prayer, maybe all the time. We need a little bit of a prayer. But we're going to keep it going. In a single month, we also cut the trade deficit in half by 50%. You believe that one? You don't hear that too much on the news. They don't like to tell you those things. In a matter of weeks, we slashed the number of illegal border crossings released into the United States down to practically nothing. 3 people got in. 3. We had hundreds of thousands, and 3 people equates to 99.999%. How's that, good? I couldn't reach 100%, I'm sorry. And of the 3 people, I have to tell you, 2 of them were medical emergencies, okay? So I'm going to say 1 person got in. That was a piece of work, I guess. I'd like to meet that guy. I'd like to meet the guy that got in. Peacetime enlistment numbers. This is something we're all really proud of. It's a big deal. Peacetime enlistment numbers for every branch of our military, every single branch, are at the highest levels in modern history. And 7 months ago, we had the worst recruit. Think of this. This is done in 6 or 7 months. 7 months ago, we had the worst numbers in recorded history. Nobody wanted to join the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard. Nobody wanted. Or our police. Our police are likewise through the roof. 6, 7 months ago, they couldn't fill a position. You couldn't fill it in the military. Now it's hot as a pistol. We have the best numbers. Think of that. The best numbers in a short period of time in modern history. And that's something I'm very proud of. And that's because the people of our country, you love our country, you were devastated to see what was happening, and now you're thrilled to see what's happening because we have a hot one and we love it. We've achieved more in 4 months than most administrations have achieved in 4 years or 8 years. And none of this would have been possible without you. You're the ones that are really doing it. You're the ones that are making it happen. You really are. And someday, one of you, maybe 2 of you or 3 of you, will be standing right here saying very similar words. I hope you're saying similar words. But that's a real possibility because there really is this greatness in this crowd. There's greatness. You might not even know that, but there's greatness in this crowd. The caliber of talent we've assembled is unparalleled. This is really the strongest, most talented team that we've had, and I think that this government has had in a long time and maybe ever. I really think this could be the best team. We worked hard on it. In just 135 days, we've hired over 3,200 patriots to deliver on the mandate that we received in November. November 5th, we want to go down as one of the most important days in the history of our country. That's Election Day. We're going to make it the most important day. And as of tonight, we filled 91% of our political appointments. And I'll tell you, we have a waiting list. Likewise, we have a big waiting list of people that want to come over, work here with you, work in the White House. Every single department, every single agency has a waiting list of people that want to come in and be with us. The Department of Veteran Affairs has achieved already 100% staffing, all with people that we want, really great people. The Department of Defense, Commerce, and Treasury is over 90% of the political hires. They're complete. It's a record at this time, so early. And the Departments of Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, Labor are all over and up to about 95% already. So that's incredible. I want to thank the great Chief of Staff, most powerful woman anywhere in the world, they say. She got the most powerful woman in the world. One phone call and a group of people, I better not say it. I was going to say one phone call and the country is wiped out, but we're not going to say that because we're a peace-loving nation. We are a peace-loving nation. Susie Wiles, where are you, Susie? There she is. No, she's great. And Sergio, thank you for the great job that you did. I appreciate it, Sergio. Sergio Gore. They have done a really amazing job. Susie, I'll tell you what, she's the first woman chief of staff in the history of our country. And I'm surprised to hear that. And I watch those men, and she watches over them, and if they get a little bit out of line, they may be big shots, defense. They may be at commerce. They may be the biggest. They're scared of her. They're afraid of her. They don't want her coming after them. But no, she's been incredible. First woman chief of staff in the history of our country. Isn't that great? I'm surprised to hear that, actually, but that's the way it is. But most importantly, let me thank all of the appointees for your tireless efforts to deliver our promises and to put very simply, it's very simple words to words, America first. It's all about putting America first. And by the way, we're going to help other countries, but first we have to straighten out our country. Don't you think so? And it's not going to take too long. A very special thanks as well to your spouses and children, and families and loved ones for the support that you've given us. And we're saving our country. This would have been a country, we were a country in shambles, and now we're a country that is just in love with itself, in love with its people, and everybody's talking about it. And it's such an honor to be involved with you. And without you, it wouldn't be happening, because together we've begun the golden age of America. This is now the golden age of America. It's a beautiful term and a beautiful country. And we're going to make our nation safer and stronger and prouder, richer, freer, and greater than ever before. And I can give you my word, I'm going to work so hard. We're going to work harder than any president's ever worked. We have to, because we got off to a little rough start. They gave us a very bad hand, and we've taken that bad hand and we've turned it into the best hand you can get, and you're the reasons why. And I want to thank you. We love you all. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. Don't eat too much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, President Trump at a summer soiree being held tonight, this evening, on the White House lawn. He was just on the balcony addressing thousands of political appointees who've been appointed to the Trump administration, thanking them for their hard work and their efforts, taking a bit of a victory lap, as you might say, touting the achievements that he says his administration has accomplished thus far, even though we're only just past the first 100 days into the second 100 days now. There's a lot going on today in the White House, even as this party is underway for members, political appointees, and their families who are all gathered at the White House lawn today. We had a lot going on, a lot of budget brouhaha. Elon Musk, a former best buddy of President Trump, is making a bit of a mess of things by tweeting out to congressmen they should kill President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Also, President Trump had a very big conversation on the phone today with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and he traded a bunch of posts with the leaders of Iran, over the negotiations there to get a nuclear deal with the nation of Iran. Robert Sherman, NewsNation's Robert Sherman, is live at the White House lawn. Robert, I hope you can peel away from the crowd. Good, you're not too close. There was a lot of news, even though there's a lot of celebrating going on right now. It's a lot of news happening today.
Yeah, it's a good distinction, Elizabeth, as the president trumpets the first 130 or so days in office in the recent past. It's the present and imminent future, which is certainly in center focus here tonight, with a lot of tough talk and negotiations taking place on multiple different fronts. On the one hand, you had the phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today, in which the president said he thought that conversation went well, but he didn't think that it was going to bring about imminent peace. And the Russians have vowed, in order to hit back at the Ukrainians after that drone operation that they carried out over the weekend. So that was one series of conversations that's taking place. Then, of course, in the background here, there's the trade talks with the EU. You just had tariffs going up overnight here on steel and aluminum. The White House says there's going to be a conversation with President Xi Jinping of China this week, in which the president said that he likes President Xi, but he also acknowledges that he's a tough negotiator. So that's still in the background here. And then, as you pointed out, Elizabeth, the situation with Elon Musk, who went so far today to say that the one big, beautiful bill should be sunk. It should be killed. The president's still pushing forward, calling on Republican lawmakers to get it done. Elizabeth?
All right, Robert Sherman reporting live from the White House. Thanks so much. All right, from Washington, we turn to Michigan and fresh concerns about whether the Chinese Communist Party is actually infiltrating American campuses. Federal prosecutors have now brought charges against 2 Chinese researchers. One of them worked at the University of Michigan. These 2 people arrested and now charged are allegedly trying to smuggle a dangerous toxic fungus that could devastate American crops. The Justice Department accuses the couple of trying to smuggle in the fungus Fusarium graminarium into our country last summer, stashing samples of the fungus in little Ziploc bags and then wrapped in Kleenex at the bottom of their backpack. It is something the FBI director is calling an agro-terrorism agent. The fungus causes what's known as head blight disease in crops such as wheat, barley, and corn. It's inflicted more than $1 billion of losses each year in the United States. And if it's ingested, if you eat it, it can cause liver damage and severe vomiting. Let's go right now to NewsNation's Alex Capriello, live for us in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Alex, big national security concerns here. Tell us what we know about these 2 suspects and the charges they're now facing.
Yeah, huge concern, and we found out a lot from this criminal complaint that was recently released. Federal officials say that these are Chinese nationals, that they're loyal to the Chinese Communist Party, that their research in part was funded by the People's Republic of China. And it was the laboratories right here at University of Michigan where it all went down. Federal officials say that they were really taking a close look at this dangerous fungi that's capable of wiping out billions of dollars for our agriculture industry. What you're looking right now is a mugshot of the person who they say was behind it all. She's 33-year-old Young Qing Jian. According to this University of Michigan bio, she was here studying since 2022 things like fungi and molecular plant microbes. The Justice Department, of course, uncovering a whole lot more from that. Specifically, they used digital forensics to actually look at her cell phone and the cell phone of her boyfriend, who was also considered a co-conspirator. And they also found a statement where she describes her loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party, to the dictatorship, and also detailing her research, which investigators found the Chinese government had invested tens of thousands of dollars into. This is what the dangerous fungi looks like now. These pictures taken by Customs and Border Protection when they seized it at the Detroit Metro Airport when her boyfriend, that's 34-year-old Zunyong Liu, tried to actually smuggle it in. Scientists classify it as an agro-terrorism weapon, capable of spreading infectious disease to wheat, barley, corn, and rice, and making both humans and animals extremely sick. When their phones were confiscated, well, that's when a number of damning text message chains dating back several years were uncovered. One shows the great lengths the 2 went through to hide the fungi when transporting it from China to the U.S., writing to be careful when going through security and that their teacher's seeds must be placed well, with one of the conspirators confirming that they actually placed it in their shoes in the airport luggage. and we know that at least one of those attempts to smuggle those samples past U.S. Customs was successful. The criminal complaint now catching the attention of both Capitol Hill and, of course, our Justice Department. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, says this is just another example of the lengths that the Chinese Communist Party will go through to, quote, infiltrate American institutions, target our food supply, and put American lives at risk. Elizabeth?
All right, Alice Capriello reporting live from Michigan. Thank you. I want to bring in Donald Harvin now. He's the former D.C. Chief of Homeland Security and Intelligence. He's also a bioterrorism expert for Interpol and the Harvard School of Public Health. Great to have you here. This fungus sounds like a real nasty thing.
Yes, it is. And this is unique. Generally, what we see is Chinese operatives looking to exfiltrate or sneak items like this or their information outside of the country. Back in 2019, a Harvard scientist was found smuggling 21 samples of a biological agent trying to smuggle outside of the airport. And so it's rare that you see individuals coming here to do that type of work, and it's very concerning.
Right. Usually they're stealing intellectual property. They're stealing things from the United States. This is a rare time when they've been caught smuggling something in, which is why I think the government is so alarmed and is charging them, because they think this is a potential act of agro-terrorism.
Yeah, and we have to, in the scientific community, we have a term that's called dual use technology, right? This could be used for good or evil. There are legitimate reasons to be studying this fungi. The problem is if it escapes or if it gets into the wild, it has devastating effects on livestock, which is probably why they don't want to study it in China. And they're more than happy to come here and do that work here on behalf of the Chinese government. This follows a long, long line of other incidents that the Chinese government has done. We've seen during the COVID epidemic, massive hacks to try to, once again, exfiltrate data, information, intellectual property. We've seen back in 2023 in California, there was a clandestine, a hidden biological laboratory right in the middle of California. Right. That was funded and run by Chinese nationals. And so this is a very concerning trend. I think Kash Patel is spot on this.
Right. But again, as you point out, in all those occasions, they were trying to steal things from us. This is the first time when it's been suggested. They haven't proved it yet, obviously, but they're being charged with trying to actually bring something that could make people sick here.
Yeah, and once again, agro-terrorism is the first time we've heard this from the Department of Justice in a while. We usually hear other terms of terrorism. Agriculture is a huge driver of our GDP. And had this gotten out into the wild, even by accident, the devastation it could have to our livestock, our crops, is just unmeasurable. So kudos to the Homeland Security and intelligence individuals that interdicted this. It has to draw into question how many of these incidents have gone unnoticed, have been successful. And once again, just last week, the Trump administration announced putting heavy restrictions on Chinese students coming here to study just this type of thing.
I think Secretary of State Marco Rubio wants to revoke the visas of all Chinese students studying in universities. This is certainly going to fuel that.
This really speaks to the reason what they're talking about. This helps the Trump administration and gives justification for that. Now, let's be clear. I'm a professor. I teach at Harvard. I also teach at Georgetown. I've had a lot of Chinese nationals and other national students. Most of them are here for benign reasons to get education. The problem is that we need international students to come here and bolster our research. What we don't need is Chinese assets that work for the government to come here with nefarious purposes.
Right. So, for anybody who might be thinking, well, maybe they were just here studying the fungus, both of these students initially lied to police before they were then confronted with their own electronic messages to each other, showing how they were planning to smuggle this fungus in. I mean, you're not smuggling fungus into a country if it's all completely innocent. There's something going on here that's nefarious.
Well, the other thing that speaks to the nefarious nature of this is that they've actually had these individuals in custody for almost a year. And so they've done their due diligence in the investigation. They've just released the indictment now. That's very damning. And so I agree with you. These individuals tried to hide their activities. It didn't get past the investigators. And I believe they have them dead of rights.
And bottom line, what happens to a person, a livestock, if they consume this fungus?
Well, it gets into the food chain. So directly exposure to humans, that's obviously a concern. But what happens is this can cause blight to livestock. This can cause blight to an illness or sickness, if you will, to crops. If those crops are fed to animals, it can cause sickness to them, and they're part of our food chain. So this really steps its way up to the food chain. We call that bioaccumulation, and the end result is it makes its way into our food supply, and it can make us sick.
Well, that is, and we're talking about wheat, corn, rice.
All the things we export.
All the things we eat.
And we eat. So, on one hand, there's the national security aspect from the gross domestic product, and us selling that. No one's going to want to buy our stuff if it's sick. The other hand, it can cause sickness in us. So this is a huge, huge win for the homeland security industry here, but it's also very concerning.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Donnell Harvin, for joining us and sounding the alarm. Really appreciate it. People work all their lives to buy a nice home. It's the biggest investment most Americans will ever make. So imagine the frustration and helplessness homeowners feel when they learn their property's been occupied by squatters and that the police won't help them because in many jurisdictions, squatting is considered a landlord-tenant dispute, handled as a civil matter, not as a crime. It's been a problem for years, but now some states are taking action. Florida and Illinois are two states that have passed laws protecting residential owners. And now Florida just took it a step further, becoming the latest state to put a law on the books protecting the rights of commercial business owners like hotels and motels.
Under current law, the remedies to remove unauthorized applicants or occupants of a commercial property can unfortunately be lengthy and time-consuming, which then incentivizes people to take advantage of the situation, and we're not going to allow that to happen.
Now, that law that Governor DeSantis is talking about relates to commercial property, and it's only in Florida, but in many cases, squatters are occupying private homes of elderly people who might have recently died. And the mourning relatives have to endure the sight of strangers using and abusing the home where the family used to celebrate holidays with their grandma. Flash Shelton has heard dozens of stories like that, and he's devoted his life to making sure they have happy endings. He helps property owners give illegal occupants the boot with a method that's perfectly legal and impressively effective. He's been documenting his crusade on video, garnering quite a fan base in the process. His videos have amassed more than 10 million views on YouTube.
Open the door. Hey, gentlemen, I have a lease for this property, and we're going to make entrance to this house if you don't vacate.
I'm finna go downstairs to the building.
Oh, listen. I have a lease for the property.
You show us the lease.
Listen to me. I have a lease for the property.
Mm-hmm. So you
I'm
said
giving you 48 hours to vacate, okay? Or we're going to move in with cameras, and we're going to expose you as squatters. Mm-hmm. We're giving you an opportunity to vacate the premises.
Put them on TV, then they move out. The squatter hunter, Flash Shelton, joins us now. Hey, Flash, that's a really interesting technique. I'm going to put you on TV and shame you into moving out. By the way, we should say you've got a new show, Squatters, premiering July 1st on A&E at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. How much time and money does it take for a homeowner to get these people out?
Well, I mean, I have heard stories of through the legal system, homeowners, taking up to a year and a minimum of $30,000-$40,000 and more, not counting the mortgage that they're paying, or in some cases, the hotel or the other house they're having to rent while they're paying for the other house that has been occupied. So, I mean, it's just an enormous expense. Some people are losing their homes over it.
That's the astounding part of this crisis, because we've been covering this now for a couple of years, that homeowners who have a lease, who have a deed, who are paying the rent, who are paying the utilities, still are on the outside, and the police say, we can't do anything to help get these people out of your own home.
Yeah, it's unfair, and there's no common sense the way the laws are written now. So, all I did was just figure out a system when my mom was a victim. And it was just using the same laws and rights that they're using and just turning it against them.
How did this become such a big thing? I mean, did word spread somehow that, hey, this is a way people can do this? Because it didn't seem, I'm sure it was happening, but all of a sudden there's been an explosion in the number of cases.
Well, I mean, my situation happened in 2019. And, then through COVID, it was kind of quiet. But, I like to believe that I had something to do with going viral and, and focusing on law change and, and all of the attention that I was getting. It certainly got the ball rolling. But you're right. This is something that's been going on for years. I mean, when I was younger, my family, we were homeless. And I remember hearing, back then that you could live rent-free for 6 months and without any issue, without any problem, without any consequence, and then move on to the next one. I used to joke that we were moving every time the rent was due. So, just as a defense mechanism. But, and that was when I was a young child. So,
so it's been around.
It's been around. And one of the things that I am starting to focus on now is renaming the squatters, because a lot of attorneys, a lot of people, will go in and talk about squatters and refer to them as the 1800 squatters, the ones that are taking over land, taking over, with the purpose of ownership, adverse possession, things like that. But the squatters of today, the modern day squatters, the legal term is actually transient squatter, and which means that they are not looking for ownership. They're just looking for free rent.
Yeah, they're just looking to stay someplace and usually trash the place and then move on. Your preferred method of getting the squatters out is what you call a lockout. Explain what it is.
Well, so, I deal with squatters and I deal with non-paying tenants. So it's a completely different thing. But if I'm, if I'm able to, if it's a squatter that entered illegally, I can typically respond quicker than law enforcement can go through the process to get them out. And so if I can get somebody who does not and has not established tenant rights, then I can literally wait for them to leave, switch places, and become their squatter.
So you basically spy on them, wait for them to leave, then you run in, lock the doors, and lock them out.
And I have a lease. And I'm like, do you have a lease? Well, let's compare signatures.
Can't kick me out. I've got the lease. And then bottom line, you also say very quickly, sometimes you can turn off utilities, but you have to be careful and do that legally. What's the needle you have to thread? Yeah.
So, whether it's myself or a homeowner, you can never turn off utilities with the intention to get them to vacate. So you can't just turn off the utilities. But
even though they're not paying for it, you are.
Right. You can go and you can file for permits and you can say that you're doing renovation or repairs and you can turn utilities off. The other loophole for homeowners is a judge can tell you that you cannot turn off the utilities, but they cannot order you to be able to afford them.
Okay.
But I have had cases where they couldn't afford it. I have told them, stop paying it. Utilities get shut off. The tenant goes to court and the judge says, look, if they can't afford it, they can't afford it.
All right, Flash Shelton, it is a growing problem. It seems to be spreading, and you're offering some answers. Really appreciate it. By the way, everybody, if you want to watch his show, premieres at the end of this month.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm
Flash.
excited.
Yeah, I'll bet you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up for us, here we go again. Get ready for Travel Ban 2.0. President Trump is banning travel from a dozen countries. This is breaking just now. Find out which countries coming up next. All right, we have some breaking news out of the White House. President Trump has literally just signed a proclamation banning travel into and out of the United States from 12 different countries, most of them in the Middle East and Africa, and partially restricting entry from 7 other countries. Let's go right now to White House correspondent Robert Sherman. Robert, we just saw you at the top of the hour. The president was having a party at the White House, then went inside and apparently signed this travel ban.
Yeah, no shortage of movement happening here at the White House, Elizabeth. These are country-specific restrictions that the president has signed here. And they really frame it at two separate baskets that they're trying to mitigate. On the one hand, foreign nationals who intend to commit harm to the United States. And on the other hand, foreign nationals who have a propensity to overstay visas. The countries on these lists, the White House contends, do not have the proper systems in place in order to vet the people who are coming to the United States. So here's the full list. Outright total ban on 12 different countries. That would include Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And then partial restrictions in place for 7 countries: Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. The White House says they're leaving the door open to work with countries that want to improve their systems. But as things stand right now, Elizabeth, this is set to go into effect in the early morning hours, June 9th. Elizabeth.
Early morning, June 9th. I'm sure we will hear much more as word of this spreads. Interesting, Venezuela was included on that list, the one country sort of notable and that we've been dealing with all these migrants. All right, Robert Sherman reporting live from the White House. Thanks so much. Chris Cuomo joins me now. You got a big 2-hour special coming up tonight. Stephen A. Smith and Bill O'Reilly are both joining you. You're covering Trump versus Musk. We saw more tweets today from Elon Musk. Also Putin and Ukraine and the New York Knicks. They just fired their coach. What aren't you covering?
It's all chaos.
It's all chaos.
It's all chaos. The only part of it that's completely unjust is, of course, what happened with Tibbs.
I know. I was really surprised, but neither of my sons were because they say he made a few mistakes.
Oh, but everybody makes mistakes. I mean, he's had winning seasons. Look, here's the problem. And we see this in politics and we see it in sports and we see it in life. Don't make a change if you don't have a plan to do something better.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the Knicks are going to do. Did they need more bench? Yes. But that was what Tibbs was known for. He always plays 6-7 guys. Did Indiana beat them in part because they were deeper? Yes. And they were better overall. So I didn't even think the Knicks were going to make it past the Celtics, to be honest.
They went further than they have in 25 years.
I mean, look, this was a weird one. I didn't see this coming. Dolan is known for wacky stuff, so we'll see what he's going to do with this. I probably won't talk to Stephen A. about it because, in truth, I have become so impressed by his independent take on what's happening. You know, there's no substitute for being outside the bubble. No. And so he's so helpful in so many ways, especially when I have O'Reilly. He's such a good counterbalance for me because Bill and I are going to go at it tonight about this budget bill, I'm sure. And it's not because I'm against it. It's just that I don't want rationales that are just suggestive of somebody's politics. And I think that's the problem we're running into right here. For instance, what I was just listening to from Sherman and you, the travel ban is being articulated because of what they learned the first time, okay? Now, the question is, why was it removed? So an all-out ban is illegal, right? You can't say no Muslims. That's why you don't hear that word in this.
Right.
It's about countries and their systems and processes because that's what was learned through the litigation, the difference between the lower courts and when they went to SCOTUS. And at the SCOTUS level, the travel ban was allowed because they had nuanced it. It's not just no Muslims. That's when Trump was saying Islam hates us.
Yeah,
remember?
That's what's in this statement. You very clearly see their reasoning. They learned.
Yes, and they should have. And again, I am not carrying water for anybody except the majority and our common concerns in this country. But it is not a coincidence that I have been pushing fundamentalism, and so is the administration, and so will be the Democrats, and very soon. Why? Well, for those two, they see advantage in it. Okay? For me, it is the unifying issue of this moment if you care about security. I don't want to hear about trans athletes. I don't want to hear about illegal entrants who are some marauding horde, unless they're extreme Islamists. Fundamentalism is affecting our citizens right here. The travel restrictions are one tool in what better be a big box to deal with this. And that's why I wanted the second hour tonight, to take a deep dive and focus on what's going on.
We're going to need a bigger box. Chris Cuomo.
I'm going to need more time. I keep blowing all my time talking to you. You're so compelling. You're so compelling.
I'm just listening.
Elizabeth, thank you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.